what the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Lily.
Hi, Mikey. Hi, everybody.
Well, this is exciting because one of our favorite things to do when we were doing the back when we were doing the old Fair Game podcast,
Yes,
was listener questions.
yes,
But now we get to have listener questions sort of coming at us live, which
yeah. Which is
remember
so nice.
we tried to figure out how to do that on the podcast.
I know, I can't.
Never could figure it out.
Never could figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we already have a bunch of people with us. We have
Well, welcome.
welcome. Yes,
I should
welcome
also
everyone.
Put my glasses on because God knows I can't see anything. Hi, everybody. All right, what do we got, Mikey?
Well, I already well, actually, secret in the background,
Yeah.
Christy is going through the comments and picking out the questions
Wifey.
that may be most interesting to us, because I know that there is going to be many more questions that we have time to answer.
I love this. Look at this. Hi from Sydney. Hi, Lee. I love your glass. Thank you. These are my readers. And I also have, I was telling Mike, I also have, this is what happens when you get old, folks, but not everybody's blessed to grow old. So we just appreciate growing old, right?
Yep.
These are my computer glasses, Mikey.
I see that, Lily.
Computer, but I like the readers. They're a little bit smaller. Anyway, hi, guys. Hi, South Texas.
Oh, yeah, there's people here from all over. There's already more than 1,000 people who have joined.
I love it. How sweet is all of this? I love this. All right, so what questions do we have? Hi, guys.
Okay, let's start. This is DE question. How does one ever trust that the authorities will keep those in need safe, since it has been such a battle to get justice for these victims, and we know there are many more? That's a great question with really no satisfactory answer, because we honestly, we don't. But kind of that's why we have to keep persisting, keep exposing, keep doing everything we can to raise the awareness of those who should be taking care of people in need and providing a safe space for them and prosecuting people who are committing crimes, so that they understand that this is run-of-the-mill Scientology, happens all day, every day.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing excuse me, we're going to be doing one of these with also Claire Headley. We're going to be with you too, Mike. We're going to be talking about our experiences with the meeting that we had with Chief Moore and our experiences with law enforcement, which has been quite difficult. And it's a great question. And the authorities are very reluctant. Well, certain authorities, I should say, are reluctant to keep to touch the subject at all, because, you know, Scientology has been the authorities have been allied. Let's put it that way. Certain authorities have been allied with Scientology, and so it's been difficult. But we're going to do something more extensive at another time.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Thank you so much for the question.
Yes.
Next question, Sarah McCluskey. Question: I have autism. I have heard Leah talk about this subject a little bit. Can you explain Scientology's view on autism?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but and Scientology, of course, doesn't admit to what they think, or how they. Mike, I'm stuttering because it's like it's so. This is a subject that gets me so riled up.
I know it does.
So, Mike, I mean, if you want to simply answer it for me, that'd be great, because I don't want to start us off with me rambling on for 20 minutes about how vile they are.
You know, Leah, people love hearing you ramble, just so you know.
Okay,
but I will give I'm
waiting for my coffee, and like, I'm just please.
I love it when you say the word coffee.
Coffee. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. So Scientology's view on autism is a little like Leah says, I'm going to make it very simplistic. I will answer this very simplistically, and it's a lot more complicated than this. But Scientologists generally believe that if you have anything that is not optimum about
per Scientology, because
yeah, exactly, and that would be categorized as autism or uh, paralysis or anything that isn't like the perfect Homo sapien, you are responsible for having caused that to yourself.
correct.
That you, whether in this lifetime or some previous lifetime, have done something that caused you to be so afflicted. And I am not saying that autism is an affliction. I'm just, and that's what gets difficult about this. Is using the words.
Well, it's using their words, right?
Right.
Not our words or our beliefs, right? Because and you never want anything to be taken out of context, right? Because
Right.
Scientology would love that. But they consider anything that they consider anyone, if you're in a wheelchair, right? That you are not an able being, which is completely false, and they see it as like, better luck next lifetime. Like
Right.
that's the way they consider.
Yes, exactly. And Scientology has a fundamental principle that of Hubbard, which is we make the able more able.
Right.
They
Even
do
if
not want to
if you don't have
deal
money, and if you don't even have money, something like that, you're not an able person to them. They want nothing to do with you.
correct.
Yeah,
So
figure it out.
that is how Scientology views this.
Yes.
All right, next question. JK, why did Scientology allow marriages in the Sea Org when they knew it would likely lead to pregnancy and eventual routing out? Well, the marriage was like married people had been in the Sea Org since day one. The rule about no children came in way, way, way later. And I think that these days, probably they are losing a fairly large number of Sea Org members. Back in the old days, back in, when I was around, they didn't lose that many because almost every woman who got pregnant had an abortion because of the pressure that was brought to bear on them.
Yeah.
So it wasn't seen as, well, this is a bad idea, having married people.
Right.
So I don't know. I
And
think
not to
that
mention, Mike, when you're in the Sea Org, you're not really married. It's more of a, now we could have a motel room together as opposed to living in a dorm. And so it's not like you're a real husband or a real wife or a real partner in any way. And as well, when they allow children in the Sea Org they still allow children in the Sea Org. They just don't let Sea Org members have children within the Sea Org. Scientology parents give their Scientology children to the Sea Org. But it's not like you're raising your kids or reading taking care of your when they're sick. It's not it's not by any means a family unit.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
JB, thank you, Leah, for speaking up for Yashar Ali, OSA tactics, and those targeted. Yes, thank you. How do you deal with COS chipping away at the ability to trust those in your orbit? Advice on how to detect, e.g., plants?
You mean plants from Scientology?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
well,
that's a second part of the question.
Sure, there's definite ways to detect a plant. A few have gotten by us, Mike, on the aftermath, but we learned very quickly. And also, there's certain things that we know that we all kind of require to know if you're friend or foe.
Right.
But making friends is difficult, new friends, because you don't know if they're there planted into your world for a reason. And what was the other part of the question?
How to detect well, the first part was, trusting people around you. And then how do you detect a plant?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not gonna lie. It's not easy. It's not easy to trust people. It isn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. I mean, and you know, we are a little paranoid, but with good reason.
Yeah, it's not unfounded. It's not
It's not
unfounded paranoia. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How do you look? There is one easy way to tell whether someone is a plant or not, which is, and this doesn't work for everybody, and it doesn't work for under all circumstances. But the one thing a plant will never ever do, or two things: one, go to law enforcement to report what they know,
Mhm.
and two, go to the media and start reporting or talking about what they know.
Or they
And
can go to the media, Mike, and plant a fake story, and so so they can do. They have done
well,
that.
yeah, but they're not going to go to the media and say David Miscavige beat people up.
Truth.
A plant, no plant will ever do that.
Right.
So that's one way. It's a surefire way. It doesn't work for everybody because not everybody is in that position where they have information that would be of interest to the media or law enforcement. But it's certainly a litmus test that is 100% foolproof.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, Sarah again. Question: does Scientology have a view on schizophrenia and medications for schizophrenia? Well, they have a view on medications, which is none of them are good. There is no medication for a mental condition which is acceptable in Scientology. You cannot medicate mental things. That is all considered to be the worst, most heinous thing. It cites drugging people
Hmm.
because they don't have the answers and the solutions to solving their mental problems. So, yeah, schizophrenia is seen as an aberration, which should be handled with Scientology or Dianetics auditing, and medication is not the answer.
Correct. Scientology is the answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that one, Lily?
No, I agree. You're absolutely
Okay.
right.
All right. I got 10 out of 10. Okay. JK. Question: Mike, in your book, you mentioned DM threatening to outcast you to Australia. Do you think he was going to make good on this threat, or was it just another bluff to try and belittle you? Oh, I think he was going to make good on that threat.
Yeah.
I think that he would. He sent people all over the place. Like, just think about Valeska Paris, who was banished to the Free Winds so
Hmm.
that she could not contact or be in contact with her family.
That's right.
I mean, there's a lot of precedent for this. So yes. Atkins in Texas. What are 3 helpful and effective actions we can take to cause COS to lose its tax exempt status and be held accountable legally for its crimes: obstruction, stalking, harassment, endangerment, etc.? Okay. 3 things. I would say 1, speak out to everybody that you possibly can. You may not or disseminate the information about what really goes on in Scientology to as many people as you can. That doesn't necessarily include law enforcement or your congressman or whatever. It can, but it doesn't have to, because if you tell someone else and they then go and get Leah's book or my book or watch something or go onto YouTube and they become informed, and then they know someone who is connected to law enforcement or connected to a congressperson, the message seeps through the world. So that would be number 1, something that I think everybody can do. Number 2, you can write to your congressperson,
Yes.
your elected officials.
Hmm.
That doesn't have to just be the United States Congress. It can be state officials. It can be your mayor. It can be the chief of police in your town, whatever, with the information that you know. And I always recommend to people, if you can, to give them links to where they can find the real story about or the truth about Scientology and see the documents for themselves. 3.
As well, the IRS.
Yes.
Yes.
The next one would be
Mhm.
write to the IRS.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 things that I would say. Do you have a different?
No, I agree. I think speaking up, speaking out, talking to your, reach out to your congressperson, council person, law enforcement, like you said, the IRS. I think everybody speaking up and speaking out is important, and it does make a difference.
Right. Okay, next one. Lorne Lurks. Question. Are there many disabled people, one in Scientology as a whole and in the Sea Org? Was heartbroken and then energized in anger, finding out I'd be considered a degraded being.
I know. It's horrible. This is they're real, the way they really think and what they really believe. And Mike, you've said this before. It's like, they even lie about their own beliefs where like, there was horrible organizations, horrible, ideologies in the world. And people are like, yeah, this is what I think. And this is what we believe. And if you don't like it, go screw yourselves. Scientology is the opposite. They hide what they truly believe. And this is one of those beliefs. They believe that anybody who is, quote unquote, disabled, which I would say more able than any Scientologist, they consider a degraded being. I mean, we're degraded beings. We're all degraded beings, thankfully.
Yeah, if you're here listening to us, you qualify.
You're a degraded being. You're an SP. You're an
Yep.
SP. You're an attacker. You're a critic.
Yep.
And you have an axe to grind, everybody. You have an axe to freaking grind.
Exactly. Okay.
You have
God, we're moving through these
try
fast.
to achieve in life, and this is all that you can do. Is attack Scientology. Sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. Linda Grabowski, question. Wasn't Trump or Obama going to look into the tax exemption for Scientology? I thought it was a published conversational subject. Well, there was a woman who, I can't remember her damn name. She
contacted us. She was actually one of these people that we were talking about, right? Like an operative for Scientology, and she worked within the Trump organization, and she reached out to us. We had no idea that she was friends with us. What's her name? The one with the dress and the whole, Mike, the singer.
Yeah.
I'm going blank on everybody's name, but anyway,
I know.
Anyway, she contacted us. She contacted me through Twitter or Instagram, and she said, the president's going to go look into this. We gave her all kinds of information, and turns out she was just a plant.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that made it in. It did make it into the media. There was reports of that.
Yeah.
That Donald Trump is going to, revoke Scientology's tax exempt status. It's coming right after the wall is built.
Nope.
Okay. Asma Fayez, who is in charge of OSA currently? Well, honestly, I don't have 100% confirmation, but I would suspect that the person in charge of OSA is Linda Hamel, Hamel.
And then there's also Kirsten Catano Peterson. And
Kirsten is
right.
Yeah, they've been around. They're in the Invest Bureau, the
but they're
Intelligence Bureau.
Yeah,
but they're not in charge of OSA.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they are in charge of a lot of OSA, or particularly Kirsten is in charge of a lot of OSA activities, dealing with people who are speaking about the abuses of Scientology.
Yeah.
Michelle, what do you think will be uncovered about Ashton Kutcher's involvement in some of the criminal acts that have been spoken of in the last few weeks?
Lots.
No, I have no clue, but I assume plenty. Okay.
I'm just over here reading comments. It's funny. Like I'm like smiling at them, like, like what is like, but they don't know that I'm smiling at them when they.
I know.
Yeah, this takes some getting used to because.
Leah, I understand. It really does. I've done this a few times now, and you sort of like your attention gets sucked into this
Yeah.
scroll that's going down of
Exactly.
all these
Oh my
comments, and people are like, hi, hey,
Yes,
and you feel like you should be
like
responding somehow.
right.
And meanwhile, everybody's sitting there waiting for you while you're like staring down there at the screen. And
Yes.
anyway,
Sorry, you read it.
I'm trying to keep things
Go ahead, honey. Go
on the
ahead.
rails here. You can look at the comments all you want.
Okay.
Paige Matthews, hello from Pennsylvania, and I'm trying desperately to get a friend of mine out of Scientology. How do I do that? Oh,
Oof. It's just tough, man. I mean, all you could do is like really is say, look, anything you're involved in should be open to some scrutiny, right? You should be able to look for yourself. If L. Ron Hubbard says think for yourself, then that's exactly what you need to do, which is, kind of was my exit, right? When I was talking to Julian Schwartz, that guy who obstructs justice and protects pedophiles. You're not allowed to say that, right?
yeah, you can say that.
Okay. And rapists. So when I was talking to Julian Schwartz, one of the things that he said to me was, I said, I don't understand. Because remember we were talking, Mike, when I hadn't left yet, and I was telling you I was meeting with David Miscavige and all this stuff. And when I told them that I was talking to you, and he was like, why would you be talking to my enemy? David Miscavige said that about you. But then Julian Schwartz said, why are you talking to enemies of Scientology? I said, this man, Mike Rinder, Amy Scobie, Jeff Hawkins, all these people, these are former senior executives of our church. Okay. We have to stand up for these people, clap for these people, salute these people. Now, 35 years later, you're telling me they're SPs? So whose job was it to detect these SPs that have gone unnoticed all these years? And anytime I, had anything to say about Mike Rinder, I had knowledge reports written on me and I had interrogation. And now he's bad. Now it's okay for me to talk crap about Mike Rinder. Debbie Cook, the captain of the flag service, all of a sudden and I'm supposed to believe you? And I said, I need to find out for myself. Like, I need to find you could say anything about these people and we can't verify from them what happened, why they left, what was going on. Were they being beaten? Were these things going on? And I would say, and all this big long story to tell you, Paige, is you have to say to your friend, you have to be able to look. And that's what I was saying. I have to do my own investigation. I have to find out for me if what we're being accused of, we are doing. What you accuse these other people of doing, I need to know from myself. And you need to say that to your friend. You need to watch Going Clear. You need to read a book on cults. You need to see what you're involved in. And if you can't do that, you need to ask yourself, are you thinking for yourself, as Scientology claims that you are learning to do? And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing I would say is to put them on blast in that way and say, turn Scientology, think for yourself and know for yourself. Okay, know for yourself. So that's what I would say to your friend. Know for yourself. If you get in trouble for looking on the internet, reading a book, watching a documentary, then you should question what you are involved in. Because no one should tell you what to think. You should make your own decisions. I would say, what do you think, Mike?
I think that's the perfect answer, Leah. I think that the thing not to do is to accuse them of being stupid.
No.
Or accuse them of like, make the Scientology term for it is make them wrong.
Yeah,
You've
by the way,
to,
don't do it like I did it just now. Be nice.
Yeah.
Like, you should be like, honey, I love that you love Scientology, but like, I want you to be able to think for yourself, because that's what they say, that you should think for yourself. Like, say it nice. Be nice.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Oh, Going Claire Bear. Thank you both for your incredible and constant perseverance, bravery, and advocacy. You both inspire me to keep on
Was
going.
it clear?
Yes, even when it feels hard sometimes. That's just a comment.
Sorry.
Well, it obviously Christy thought we should read it out, so I read it out.
Thank you, wifey. But here's the thing, like I was thinking the other day, and I started to write like an appreciation post to everybody, but I was like, wow, there's only like a small group of us, right? And it's like when we were doing the aftermath, Mike, there was just never a time when we called upon any of these guys like Claire, Mark, Aaron, Mary Con, like anybody, Chris Shelton, there was just no Jeffrey Augustine, Karen
Jeff
D.
Hawkins,
Jeff Hawkins.
Karen.
Yes, yes. Tom DeVos. Like there's just never a no. It's always
Yes.
yes, of course, we're here to help, right? It's like these people have lives, they have jobs, they've come from nothing. They started their lives at a deficit, and yet here they are still continuing to do the work. And I just like, just big love.
I
Sorry.
hear you. I agree.
Yeah, what did happen to the mouthpiece, Tommy Davis? Where did he end up?
In Egypt. Seriously. So he left Jessica and his twin girls and took up with some model from Egypt and went there and married that person and lives in Egypt. So apparently. It's weird.
Ugh. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Prayer request now. Does Scientology teach people like DM that it's okay to commit crimes in the WOG world because they aren't Scientology crimes? Absolutely 100% yes. 100%. Everybody, not just DM, not just like DM. Every Scientologist is taught that. The YouTube video that Leah and I did about the covering up crimes, the most recent one before this, I guess it was yesterday.
Yeah.
We read out big sections from the last chapter of the Intro to Scientology Ethics book.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, remind me, ethics. Got to tell you something about ethics.
Okay.
We read out a big section from this last chapter of that book, one of the last writings of Hubbard on the subject, called A New Hope for Justice. And in it, he describes his disdain. Like disdain is too weak a word.
Yeah.
His hatred
Yeah.
for law enforcement, the FBI, government agencies, the WOG world in general, and that is what Scientologists are taught.
Yes, I mean yes, and even as a Scientologist, and Mike, you were part of OSA. I'm sure you were doing all kinds of criminal crap on behalf of Scientology. And as my from a civilian point of view, you're taught very early on that Scientology law is superior to the real law, and anything that's done on behalf of protecting Scientology is justified, because I mean you have to get into the mind of any kind of extremist way of thinking, right? It's okay, and anything is okay to protect Scientology, anything and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So before I forget, my now friend Ford Green, who was a lawyer who I was on the other side of when I was in the Office of Special Affairs. He represented various people suing Scientology, and he also represented and was a lawyer involved in a very, very prominent case called Molko, and that was the name of someone who was abused by another cult, and he won that case. But he's a very, very smart guy, and he sent me a text yesterday, and he said, Mike, I listened to you and Leah. Great work, blah, 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 blah. And he said, look, one thing about ethics in Scientology, when they talk about being the most ethical people and that there is a system of ethics in Scientology, he said, I think you should substitute the word ethics with the word obedience. Because that really is what Scientology ethics is about. It is obedience to the rules and regulations of Scientology. And that Scientology being the most ethical group on earth, in fact, they are the most obedient group on earth.
Right.
And I thought,
perfect.
that's that is
absolutely right. Absolutely
brilliant.
right.
So I wanted to remember that and make mention of it today, because everybody can start talking about the most obedient group on earth, and the fact that Scientology ethics is in fact the system by which Scientology forces its membership to be obedient.
Correct.
And that really is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't think people also understand. It's like I was, talking to one of our other favorites, Stephanie Hutchinson, about ethics, right? And I was trying to explain it's like the hovercraft. Like, as a Scientologist, whether you're young or old, the ethics department, which is the department of Scientology that is the adjudicator of your life. I mean, of how you live your life, and it has to be per Scientology's ethics, because being in ethics and out ethics is per Scientology standards, and that is a whole other episode, because the behavior that one would think would be moral and ethical in the real world is not it's opposite in Scientology, right? But we were explaining about that they basically run your life. As a civilian Scientologist, that's who I reported to, right? Like when I got in trouble, I would go to ethics, and as an adult, you'd go to ethics. So adults are going to the ethics departments constantly, and so are staff. And so it's like it's this hovercraft over your life, and that's how they gain this kind of authority over you, because it becomes your primary caretaker.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Another question.
Sorry.
Okay.
I wasn't even going ahead with anything.
Oh, sorry.
Just next question. Stop apologizing.
Okay.
People give you shit about that, Leah.
All right.
Stop apologizing, Leah. There's nothing to apologize about. Stop apologizing.
All right.
Okay.
Might be just a tick. You know what I mean? Like I'm constantly doing things with my lips or my hair or whatever. Like, I think it's a tick, because I don't know that I'm actually sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's a good one. LRM. Do either of you have PTSD?
Hell yes.
Yes.
Matter of fact,
when
go ahead.
I was going to say, when I realized it?
What?
When I read something and it said, recurring nightmares are one of the most common manifestations of PTSD. And Leah, I had nightmares, and I talked about this like almost maybe 3 times a week from the time that I escaped until actually the time I wrote my book. When I finished writing my book, they sort of stopped. And those nightmares were always the same. They were always that somehow I went back to gold or back into the Sea Org, and I got stuck there again. And I couldn't get out this time. And when I talked to Mark and Claire and Tom and everybody else, they all have experienced that. It is like so common for people who were in the Sea Org to have these nightmares. And I'm not sure if I'm aware of everything else, but that I absolutely know. And I know that that is a classic symptom of PTSD.
Yeah. And it's same. Like I always have dreams that, crime is being committed against me, and it's horrible. It's horrible. But I mean, I remember when I had one of my first, I was talking to my therapist, and I said, hey, have you ever, because at one point, like, I wanted to get on medication because, I don't sleep well, and I'm just, always in fear of something, or someone in my family. I'm just always petrified that someone's going to be harassed or hurt. And now I didn't realize that they have done this. This is a pattern of practice, that they hire kind of unwell people now to go after anyone who they have targeted. And anyway, but on a funnier note, kind of funny, not really funny, but I was talking to my therapist, and I said, like, oh, by the way, I just kind of threw it in there, like, what's my diagnosis? 'Cause I feel like I need to be on something, I need to be on something. And I really didn't think like she had an answer, but she was like, oh yes, I have diagnosed you. Do you want to hear it, Mike? She went through and started a list, like a lot. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, great. Hey, all right. And she was
Enough
like,
already.
and I was like, right. Thank you. Maybe another time. Maybe another time. The list went on, man. But
Oh,
yeah, like when you really start doing the work, you really, and I urge people, like, you so deserve to the help. You just what you really are going through and what you're feeling,
yeah.
and you sometimes seem crazy, and you need people who really understand what you've been through, and it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to reach out to people that do this work, because it's really about trauma work. It's really that work that needs to be, you got to dive in there. Anyway, all right.
Okay, here we go. Mary Smith. Do you think this conviction will open the door for more action going forward? Glad I could catch your talk today.
Now, is the talk the Australian talk, or is it the New York talk? It's my
the New York talk.
I don't know, because it could have been yours as well, Mike.
Yeah, I guess we both have
How do you say talk, Mike?
mongrel accents.
How do you say talk, Mike? Let me hear it.
Talk.
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 Talk. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I really feel this is unlike anything I think Scientology has ever experienced. They would have experienced something this monumental had the Lisa McPherson trial been able to move forward. I think Scientology could have been shut down with that case.
Yes, and they did experience something this monumental with the criminal case in
Oh.
19 back in the 70s. But the difference
right. When
the difference was
yeah,
there was no internet, there
Yeah.
was no YouTube, there
Yeah.
was no interwebs. The world was confined to what got reported in the New York Times or the Washington Post, and whoever read that kind of found out about it, and that was about it.
Yeah, so this case is huge. I mean, again, what these brave women fought for, and what the deputy DAs had to deal with is unlike anything I think they were prepared for. They don't realize what they're up against when dealing with Scientology, and the 200 lawyers that they have behind the scenes, and where they would have people coming forward, they didn't. Where they had people they thought were going to be telling the truth, they didn't. Where they thought they would have witnesses, they didn't, right? Because of Scientology policies, right? Scientologists are not allowed to cooperate in a police investigation. They're not allowed to testify against a Scientologist in good standing, which rape in Scientology doesn't get you expelled, and it doesn't get you not in good standing. So yes, this to me is, and to a lot of people, it healed a little piece of their hearts, even though they might not have been in this situation, but also just for victims of this heinous and violent crime such as this. It was huge, and I consider them all heroes.
Absolutely. Kenna Myers, Mewers. Question: why have no reporters asked Tom Cruise why David M is avoiding process servers? For fun.
Because they're pussies.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't I know.
Yeah. Keep asking the question. Keep asking the question. Maybe someone will eventually ask.
Yeah, exactly. You should start asking reporters and journalists. Why don't they ask the questions? Should
Put
be
it on X or Twitter or whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
But send it out there and just find a bunch of journalists, entertainment reporters for Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, that you could get their names and tweet at them and ask them, why don't you ask Tom Cruise next time you see him?
Or why don't you ask Tom Cruise where his best friend's wife is?
Yeah. Or how his daughter's doing.
Oh, but we don't want to insult him because we want to look good.
Okay. Liesel, how many people has the Aftermath Foundation helped? What kind of support do people leaving Scientology need the most? Well, happily, it is a lot of people. Um, I wish it was more, but it's a lot. We don't talk about people unless they ask us
Yeah.
to like make public the fact that they have been helped by the foundation.
Mhm.
What they need the most is actually someone to talk to. That's what they
Yeah.
need.
They
They
need
need
someone
someone.
who knows what they have gone through, what they're going to go through. But remember, they don't have bank accounts, they don't have credit cards, so they need basically how to imagine just like starting your life over with
Yep.
no resources. So although you're saying that, Mike, and that's ultimately true, in their hearts they need somebody to talk to who knows what they've gone through, but they do need everything.
Oh,
Like everything. Clothes, they need to learn how to drive, or they need a driver's license, they need an apartment, they need like everything from the beginning, like starting your life over.
yeah. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
to the extreme of Sergio Belinsky, who we made that video about,
Yeah.
who needed hands
Right.
and an eye or a glass eye
Yeah.
and a GED. And we have provided computers to people, cars. We've gotten them cars. We've found them jobs. We've helped them do their resumes. We've
Mhm.
gotten apartments for them. We've flown them to wherever their family is. Like whatever it is, we
Yeah.
managed to figure out how to get it. And there is an enormous network of people now who have been connected through the Aftermath Foundation website, and we can find somebody to help basically anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how many people there are out there who
Yeah.
have stepped forward and said, if ever you need anything,
Like it's
I'm here.
amazing. Like therapists, people offered their homes. It's just amazing what people have offered to the Aftermath Foundation. It's just and what the Aftermath Foundation does is yeah, I'm just really touched by what you guys do. I want to add something too about the journalist question. Although I'm being funny and annoying, when journalists do ask real questions, not just like ball busting questions to Tom, but like real questions about Scientology, they are then attacked by Scientology. Like
Right.
the poor guy who lost his job, I'm going blank on his name, who reported
Yeah.
on the Lisa Presley. Do you remember his name? God, I
No, I
just
can't
watched
remember
the
his
video
name.
today. Oh God, that's horrible.
It's
Anyway, Yashar Ali, who is our friend and who has covered this extensively. He was never a Scientologist. He was never in, and he does so much work. And they've gone after him. Our friend Stephanie, like we said, who just saw what was going on and said, "I'm going to start writing about it." Dodge Landsman, Landisman.
yes.
Oh, yes. Like here's this guy from a local news who was reporting on the Danny Masterson trial and lost his job. Lost his job from reporting on the news. So I think that's what is part of the problem. But it's like if enough people don't ask the questions, it becomes habit. And I think we really have to start to stand up
Yep.
for this. And I've said this many times. I said it in my lawsuit. Journalists have a right to report on the news. People have a right to tell their stories. People have a right to report crimes to the authorities without fear of retaliation from a multi-billion-dollar freaking organization calling itself a church. I don't know why I'm yelling at you.
I'm here. There's only two crimes in the universe, Leah.
What is that?
Be there and communicate. Remember?
Yes.
Every now and then, these random, stupid Hubbard datums just like pop into my head.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting through a lot of questions here,
Okay. Yeah.
even though we do ramble. Laurie Ward,
It's
hey all.
late. Lori.
Sorry, you're not late. My question is, can you explain what sec check is?
Yes, a sec check is an interrogation. It's called a security check, also called a confessional, which is an interrogation done in a locked room where you are not allowed to leave on the Scientology e-meter, their lie detector. And it is sometimes, most of the time, it's preset questions that L. Ron Hubbard wants you to answer, of which there is a disclaimer read to you by a Scientology auditor that says basically whatever you say to us, we will not report to the authorities unless you leave Scientology and report on what's happened to you and others, and then we will put that out on the street.
Right.
And
Okay, here's-
all Scientologists have to do sec checks throughout their whole Scientology career, and even 6-year-olds. This is it 5 or 6?
6.
6 years old.
Yep. Here's a great question. Moon Age Daydream. Great
Mhm.
name.
Yeah.
If a Scientologist, public or staff, was burgled, attacked, or similar by non-Scientologists, would they then call the police, or does the no police trading run that day? Absolutely. They would not only call the police, they would kick up such a stink if the police didn't do their job properly.
Hmm.
Like that there was some conspiracy to prevent Scientologists from getting justice for the crimes that are being committed against them. Seriously.
Mhm.
This is how nuts this stuff is.
Mhm.
Okay. Question. The Jane Does endured so much with all the pedo covered up by Scientology. Can you imagine what it would be for any of those victims coming forward asking for a friend? Well, we don't need to imagine. We know what it's like and what it has been like for those victims coming forward.
Mhm.
It has been hell on earth, made hell on earth because of how Scientology views them.
Can you imagine what it would be for any of those victims coming forward? So I don't know if that means if you were to come forward now, is
I'm not sure, but either way, if it's now or if it's in reference to what they had to go through coming forward, either way, it's terrible.
and at the same time, if you have information or if something has happened to you, I mean, it's hard to say this, and I've Claire and I have tried to let law enforcement know how hard it is for victims to come forward from Scientology because of what happens to their lives after, and there's no protection for them because of the allied situation that's going on there with certain departments and certain officers and certain people there. Not all, but it is very difficult to say, sure, go report the crime. We cannot promise you that they will protect you from retaliatory activities that Scientology calls for when you do. But there's strength in numbers, and if you have something to report, get a hold of us. You know how to do that. Get a hold of somebody at the Aftermath, and we will do our best to help you.
Yep, absolutely. Japan of Green Gables. Great name. Question for Leah. Have you heard Patton Oswalt said he knew you'd leave Scientology one day when you told him Battlefield Earth was so bad you snuck away after the premiere? Is that a true story?
That he knew I would leave? I don't know if he ever told me that, but that's hysterical.
I think that's great. I love that
It's
question.
probably very true. Like, because anybody was saying, I remember I got in trouble for being critical of Battlefield Earth.
Well, Patton Oswalt is a smart guy, obviously.
He knew it. He knew it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Stephanie. Oh,
Stephanie's here?
I thought she was talking to us, but she's talking to the people.
Oh, she's talking to the people, the peeps in the chat?
The peeps, yeah.
Okay.
They're having their own chat, I'm realizing.
They do that.
Okay, cute.
Yeah.
Enjoy each other. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Go
like,
ahead.
there's a bunch of people that show up for all of these and they all know one another. And it's like,
I love
Goldie, hi, Goldie, blah, blah,
Yeah. Okay.
Free Xenu Project. Mike, you are looking really good. Glad to have you back. Leah, do you think David Miscavige is worried about the civil case brought on by the Masterson trial, or do you think he truly thinks he can pay it away?
No, I think he's worried about it, which would explain the complete psychotic breaks they continue to have, what they continue to do to victims, to survivors, what they continue to do to me, to Mike, to the Jane Does, to everybody who's speaking out, to anybody who's reporting, to anybody who even makes a joke about, like, but again, it's per policies, right? These are the policies. There's thousands of policies under the fair game banner. It's not just one policy. And by the way, the one policy says that it doesn't say that it's canceled. What it says is putting it in writing is
No,
canceled.
using the term is canceled,
Yeah,
not the
sorry,
treatment of suppressives.
Right, are the same. Right, sorry. So anyway, not sorry, Mike. I'm not sorry.
Yeah,
not
you're
sorry.
not. I know
Okay.
that.
Okay, now we're talking about pizza.
Get off that. Pay
Sorry,
attention.
I was like, pizza.
Pizza.
All right. So yeah, yes, very worried because when you know the truth is coming out, yeah, you're freaking worried. Yeah. You're worried.
Yep. I would say look, my answer to that question is if he's not, he's really stupid because he should be very worried about that case.
Yeah.
Very, very worried. That case and Leah's case, they're big, big, big sources of nightmares and sleepless nights in the realm of David Miscavige right now. Promise you. Matt Elliott, question. Leah, have you noticed any uptick in Scientology following you or doing anything since you filed the lawsuit?
Yes, very much so.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
I did a video about them following me.
Yeah, and there's over 200 accounts, Scientology operatives. And by the way, not all people doing this are Scientologists. They're just paid by Scientology.
Right.
Or they have friends in Scientology who are asking them to go after people. And we know the whole game. We know the whole game. Like, so when people go, I'm not a Scientologist, but I don't agree with, I'm like, you're a Scientologist affiliated, because nobody's defending Scientology who's, a normal human being.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
another great question.
A lot has happened, not just to me, to many people. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tammy Laster, has the church said anything about Masterson's conviction?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have 200 accounts. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Not a peep. The only thing that they have said, we don't have any policy that prohibits a Scientologist from reporting to law enforcement. That's it. That's the end of story. They haven't said a damn thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they rushed. They were like in a panic of rush to say something about Paul Haggis. And when he lost his civil suit, not criminal suit, civil suit, from a woman who sued him rather than going to the authorities to report the quote crime that he committed against her. In any event, yeah, not a word, not a peep,
not a word. Not only from Scientology, and because I don't call it church, right? Let's try not to call it a church. Not just from Scientology, but not one Scientologist.
Yeah, it's true.
Where's the tweets? So sorry that happened to you. We are a church with compassion and empathy. Not one freaking nothing.
Right. Okay. Well, here's an interesting. I sort of answered this. Chaz B, is a plant able to speak disparagingly about Scientology? In private, they may speak disparagingly about Scientology to sort of an extent.
Yes.
In order to gain credibility and trust.
Yeah.
But they won't do it publicly.
Yeah,
and
because
they won't do it to law enforcement.
Mike, we had people, I don't know, but remember we had people come to us and say, we worked for Scientology and we think it's a cult and blah, blah, blah. And it turned out they work for Scientology.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, say that publicly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Liz Ferris. Hi,
by
Liz.
the way, a PI did do that once, Mike. A PI did do that on Instagram once said something about, I would never do that to you, Leah, or some crap like that. Turns out he worked for Scientology.
Exactly.
All right. Liz
Liz
Ferris.
Ferris.
Hi.
Hi, Liz. Mike, did you know Bob Ferris? Yes, I did. I honestly, Liz, I didn't work with him. He was in Gold. I was in Int, and those two didn't really meet up too much other than for events. So I worked with Gold people who were involved in the events, but that wasn't Bob. So, but we know who you are. We admire what you did tremendously.
Yes.
You,
And her
by
story.
what you did,
Wow.
and for those who don't know, she actually filed a missing a welfare check. Or
By the way, where is her story? Did Aaron do her story yet?
yeah, I think so. Liz, you
Okay,
can answer in the comments, and
people need to know if your story's out there because they need
it
to know.
is.
Yeah.
I think it was on Aaron, and I think also maybe on Tony Ortega. I'm just
Okay.
not sure. But
Okay.
Liz, you can answer in the comments, and then Christy can highlight it, and then we'll read it out because I don't recall. I
But
just know
you were singing her praises, Mike. But I do want her story to get out there because it's disgusting.
yes,
again.
and in fact, the whole post that I did on my blog about, look, if you have an elderly person who is in the
Yes.
Sea Org, here is the laws, and Yashar had found these laws that were
Yes.
really helpful, and I published them all on my blog and sort of pleaded with people,
Yes, you
Go
have to stand
do
up
it.
with your family members, and I know it's a lot to ask, but because of what Scientology will do in retaliation.
Yeah,
But we are all proof that you could withstand it and still stand. They could get you on the ropes, but they're not knocking anybody out, right? Because
right.
you have the truth and you have what's good and decent behind you. I truly believe, I know that sounds Pollyanna, but I truly believe that in the end, good will triumph over this evil. I really do believe that. And I just,
Me
more
too.
people have to fight. More people just have to fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
I truly believe that too. That's why I keep going.
Yeah.
If I didn't believe that, I would give up.
Same. And
Okay.
many a day I do want to give up, Mike. And
I
I'm
know.
sure a lot of you feel that way who do this work. We could take some time off, but we can't give up.
We
Okay.
can't abandon the cause.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Question: with media organizations historically being intimidated by Scientology's fair game craziness, were you surprised that The Aftermath got approval to be aired?
No.
No, not surprised,
No.
but greatly appreciative of the people at A&E and the production company, and like they took a lot of shit for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
They really did. All the way up to the big boss of A&E,
Mm-hmm.
who really had very little to do with our show. I mean, he obviously was aware of it and had signed off on it, but he started getting targeted pretty heavily by Scientology.
And they still are. We still are.
I know.
Yeah.
You can still find them all.
But that's why we keep saying this, Mike. Like, they're going to harass you. They're going to bully you, right? They're going to attempt to silence you. But at the end of the day, if you have the truth on your side, there's nothing that they can do.
Correct.
I'm talking about like journalists and stuff. Like,
Right.
there's some pretty heavy vetting, legal vetting that has to go on, right? Which the good news is we could vet all this, right? It could be proven. It stands up legally.
Yeah. You can. It's something that's actually to remember about The Aftermath was those shows did get legally vetted, like legally vetted. If there was anything that was said in those shows that was not true, it wouldn't have aired.
Right. That's why I know. That's why I'm like, all right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what this one is. One Love 51,000. Question: are you surprised by the public backlash after the celebrities' support of Danny Masterson? I'm so glad for it. Thank you both for sharing your time with us.
Thank you for being here. No, I was not. I was not at all surprised. It's the right emotion. It's the right sentiments. It's the right. It's right. It's the right
Yes.
thing to do. I mean, what I am surprised at the lack of support from organizations that are in place to support these victims, and they've basically, silent except for one. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, where is everybody when it comes
Yeah.
to that? Yeah. But the public support has been absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh. Lube be Lou online. Question is Oops, sorry. Question, is Scientology a tax-exempt religion in the UK? I live in Wales. No, it is not. And I talked about this recently. There was a decision from an appellate court and an attempt from Scientology to appeal the fact that they have been denied charitable exempt status in the United Kingdom, and they lost. And I wrote about this in my book because back when I was around, Tom Cruise and David Miscavige went and met with members of Tony Blair's cabinet or something to try and deal with the fact that the Charity Commission in the UK refused to grant tax-exempt status to the Church of Scientology. They have a great system in the UK and actually in a lot of other countries where you have to prove that you provide what's called a public benefit in order to be exempt from taxes. There's no such test in the United States. I sure wish there was.
Yes.
Because no matter what we tried, they wouldn't buy that Scientology actually benefited the public at large. We presented them with all the information about Narconon and applied scholastics and this and that. And they were like, this is so small and is so limited and so within the organization. They saw right through it and said, nope, this is not public benefit. This is not benefiting the general public.
Right.
So, yeah, UK, nope.
And by the way, the organization, Mike, that was there for the Jane Does and was Voices in Action. Yes, Voices in Action. And they were there to support them. They were beautiful. They continue to be supportive, but no other organization was willing to
step up to the plate.
Yeah.
I know.
Somebody asked a question about PIs, about can we get these PIs arrested or get law enforcement. I don't know how it is where you guys live, but in California, it has to be the same person 3 times. And Scientology has tax exempt money, multi-billion-dollar organization who could hire different people at different times. They hire people who are mentally unwell. They go on Hollywood Boulevard or wherever they go, and they grab people to stalk and harass people. They do this with their Stan League bloggers and their front groups and all this. And, just to give you like a real example, you're driving down the street and you notice that you're getting followed by somebody. You feel kind of silly. You call the police and they say, what are they doing? Are they are you in danger in any way? And you're like, well, I don't know. You want me to wait until they do something? And then,
yeah.
It's very hard from your perspective from OSA, Mike. You guys knew where the line was, right? For the law. Not that they're not doing anything illegal today, but when you were there,
look, PIs are sort of like semi cops in the eyes of the cops. Like I've had PIs who were following me that were driving literally. It was Dave LeBeau down the wrong side of Sunset Boulevard at 80 miles an hour to try and catch up with me and Marty Rathbun, who were driving to Tiziana's house and
Okay.
had lost them through a light. He got pulled over. Nothing. They just say, "Oh yeah, well, I was a cop before, and professional courtesy. I'm on a job now. I'm a
Mhm.
PI." I mean, they get away with a lot of stuff, and like Leah said, the laws are very much in favor of them rather than the people that they are stalking.
Yes, and also, like, what are they doing, right? They're standing outside being menacing, or, they're you can't really you can't call a police officer and say, a person's just standing there and I'm perceiving them to be menacing. We know that they are, and we also don't know what they're capable of. And that's what's very scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a little note from Phil Jones, my buddy, our buddy, another one who has fought and fought and fought and fought about the disconnection of his kids. Joy Vila. That was
Yeah.
the name of the dress lady.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Philip. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Hi to you and Willie. Okay. Joshua Cox. Are there any Scientologists that you would not help if they leave? Nah, just Dave.
Yeah, that I understand. That's a hard question, because you always think, like, this person said horrible things about me. This was somebody I considered my family, right? And have done horrible things to me. And then when they're there, they need your help, I can honestly say I don't think there is anybody that I wouldn't help except David Miscavige.
Right. I'm the same. Okay. Love it. With all the time COS spends documenting doing stat sec checks, just when and how are they helping anyone on the planet?
Great question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Scientology is the ultimate bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, busy work is the nature of the Sea Org. There are all of these, there are thousands of people in the Sea Org, and they are running around frantic, staying up 16 hours a day, sleeping, 3 or 4 hours a night, and achieving absolutely nothing.
And
Even in the world of Scientology, they're not
right.
achieving anything.
It's like you're giving up your lives, your kids, what life you could have, and you're achieving nothing. They spend so much time and resources with the energy that they have, with the resources that they have, with this fire to attack and kill and destroy and obliterate. Like, they could turn all of that into something good, something deep. Could you imagine the money that they could be spending on actually helping people?
Yeah. Or using all those empty buildings for something useful.
House the homeless in California with the empty do something good.
Yeah. Okay. Jefferson Hawkins is in the house. We've got a whole bunch of
Jeffrey
people
Hawkins.
here. I believe that my marriage to Catherine was one of the last marriages on the base.
Oh,
I understand marriages are now forbidden on the base. They don't want any divided loyalties.
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, because there's strength in numbers. Not that you had that with your wife in the Sea Org.
Nor did Jeff.
But some, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like,
But Mark and Claire did.
very rare. It's
very rare.
The exception, right?
Yes.
Amy and Matt. Yes.
Yes.
Like, these are the exceptions. Yes.
Okay.
And exceptions that caused a pretty big stir, because look at what they're doing now, right? Amy and Matt, Jeffrey, like, they're doing a lot of good, and I could see why that's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Catherine Olson, another one.
Linda was.
You know who Catherine Olson is?
No, tell me.
She is one of the people who the Aftermath Foundation helped. Get out of Columbus org. She was sent to Columbus as a Sea Org member and stranded there along with a whole bunch of other Sea Org members. And
Wow.
we helped her, and then she reunited with her family. It's a long story. And
Oh, Catherine.
anyway,
You.
Linda Hamill was the last one in charge of OSA. That's just
Okay.
back to
And she-
that
Yeah,
earlier
still there.
things.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that.
I don't even know. Oh, we already heard from Ken Amirs. You got another one. Do you guys think Kutcher is a closeted Scientologist? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, there's such a thing, but I don't know that he is, but he's still allied. And they say, you can understand, the connection, why people are friends.
Yep.
Oh, Amy and Matt got married after they left? No, that can't.
Yes, they did.
Really?
Yes. Yep.
Well, they were together
Yes, they were together, but they were
just
not
weren't
married.
having-
They were not allowed to. Well, they were in the RPF. So
Oh, because
there's
right,
none of that business goes on in the RPF.
Got you. Okay.
Okay, Andy Fabulous. Leah, did you ever jokingly threaten Kevin James you'd have him fair gamed if he didn't get his lines straight?
That's funny. No, but
It is pretty funny.
Kevin used to make jokes. Like, by the way, I didn't actually know what fair game was when I was in Scientology. I knew the enemy condition policy, the one policy, and I knew how to deal with suppressives, but I didn't know there were thousands of policies and a course on how to destroy people's lives that literally says the target is to obliterate them. I had no idea. That would, but if I looked at Kevin too long, he used to say, "Don't try to get me in your Scientology trance. Don't give me your Tom Cruise glam. Don't give me the Tom Cruise."
Oh, dear me. Okay. How does Scientologists feel about other religions?
Great question.
Excellent question. Disdainful.
Disdain.
Yes.
What do you say? Wait, what do you say to people, Mike, when you have Stacey Francis's of the world saying that they're Christian and they also are Scientologists?
Yeah, and Jeff Pomerantz a Jew. Yeah, I know. They're crazy. They're lying. And this is what you were talking about earlier, Leah. One of the things that's so objectionable about Scientology is they say, oh, we're not homophobic, and they absolutely are. We love all other religions, and they absolutely do not. Right. The conviction of their beliefs only goes as far as, is it acceptable in the PR world to say what we
tell
believe?
An acceptable truth.
Right.
Now they will allow you in the beginning, depending on if they have you all the way in yet, they will allow you to carry on with your religion, with your real religion, until you get to a certain level. They will say, now you absolutely cannot be going to church unless it's for PR reasons. Like if you need to stay connected to another church for you're doing an operation, like for OSA, you're infiltrating the church, a real church for a reason, then yes, they'll let you stay connected. They'll tell you to, tweet certain things, and the Stanley, they tweet certain things so they appear as though they're not who they actually are. And, but Mike, the most telling thing, all right, don't even take our word for it. Post for them, Mike, on your blog, or just kind of reissue it, because I'm sure you've already written about this, and I'm sure many people have written about this. For Scientology to get tax exemption, they have to say to the IRS, right, when they're being considered for tax exemption, they have to answer a question. And that question is, do you believe in only what you believe in? Because you can't believe in this and then that and then call yourself your own religion, right? You're not like a philosophy then, right? So they had to tell the IRS, we believe in only what we believe in and not any other faiths, to gain tax exemption. So this is the only time Scientology is probably told the truth.
Yep.
To a government, right?
Absolutely. It's on my blog in a few places. And I will make a note of that, Lee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing, there's a policy called mixing practices, and L. Ron Hubbard states you're not even allowed to do like yoga and be a Scientologist. You can't mix practices. So, and then when you get to the OT levels, you'll find out what Scientology really believes about God. And they, for example, they have the 8 dynamics, right? The urges towards survival. So your first dynamic is your body. Your second dynamic is your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, right? That's your second dynamic. And that goal, so it covers every area of life, animals, things, your car, your house, whatever, right? Groups, your job. And what is it, the 8th dynamic, Mike? That's the God dynamic?
Yes.
Okay. That's literally for public relations only, so that they can say, we even have our own God dynamic. No, you don't. I was a Scientologist all my damn life. I did my OT levels. My mother did her OT levels. Matter of fact, when I was buying a non-Scientology friend a cross, a real cross, Shane Woodruff said, why are you buying that person? Because they were trying to get this person in Scientology. Why are you getting this person the wrong cross? That's what Shane Woodruff said. He's a representative of Celebrity Center who has since left, probably kicked out of the Sea Org, and now works for a Scientology company.
Yes. Next question. Jam tag. Thanks to you both for aiding my exit from an unrelated cult. Leah's word led me to help others escape too. Great.
Yay! Congratulations.
I put that one up there for you, Lee.
Thank you, sweetheart. That's
so nice.
Okay, I just saw something that somebody said it's sauce, not gravy. I just have to say, Richard Palermo, you're absolutely right. Nobody says gravy. I don't know anybody my whole growing up. No, Mike, you seem confused. I just saw it and I agree. Nobody says gravy. It's sauce. Thank you.
I say gravy.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I can only say maybe in Australia.
Well,
and gravy is for like mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
what else do you?
No,
whatever. Let's not get off into this.
No, we're talking about like Italian sauce, like it's like sauce.
Oh, yeah, I don't call and yeah. So that sauce is sauce, not gravy.
Thank you. Okay, good.
Yeah. Gravy goes on roast beef and mashed potatoes. Question. Have either of you heard that Tom Cruise no longer wants to be associated with Scientology? No. I read an article about it.
Puts this out every time Tom has a movie coming out or he's not doing well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a planted story that is religious clockwork. Every time there is a movie coming, this rumor somehow manages to make it into the media.
Every time
people feel better about spending their money on Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Mind of our own. What's Wagweld mean? Well, it actually is Wogweld. And Wog is the derogatory term that L. Ron Hubbard invented or took to describe everyone who is not a Scientologist.
And any system that isn't. Yeah, so it's like Wog law, like, oh, blah, 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 died. Who cares? They're Wogs. Like that literally is what's said.
Yep. Okay, here's an interesting one. Are there any racist elements to the doctrine of Scientology?
Yes.
Listen, I'm not sure that you're going to find
is a derogatory word, Mike. It's can be considered racist.
Oh yeah, Wog, yes. But I was just about to say, I'm not sure you're going to find something that says we don't want people of a certain skin color to participate in Scientology, except you will find L. Ron Hubbard talking, and I have a whole post on my blog about L. Ron Hubbard's racist statements, and they are seriously out there, things that I wouldn't dare say on this YouTube video, because this YouTube video would get shit canned.
By the way, Mike, we're having a very serious issue here, and I just have to talk about it for 1 minute, okay?
Oh no. Yeah,
Mike, we're
go ahead.
having serious problems here because there's a lot of people here saying that their grandmothers who came from Italy are saying gravy. People are getting very upset. I don't want listen, guys. We're all family here, okay?
Uh,
If you say gravy, say gravy. I'm just okay. I still love you. Let's love each other.
I knew you'd get something going with the gravy business.
I'm just saying it's a lot of people saying
Okay.
their grandmother said, and I don't want to disrespect their grandmothers. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you keep track of those comments. I can't. I have to keep track of the ones that have been starred
Okay.
by Christy because
Okay.
I can't keep up.
Understood.
Okay. Sir Smorby, hi. Do different jobs in the Sea Org have different pay? For example, did Mike just make the same standard $50 a week like a bus
Yeah,
driver? Yep.
Huh.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, no difference whatsoever.
What can I just before we get to this, what percentage of celebrities are Scientologists? It wouldn't even register on a scale.
There's no percentage. It's zero.
Zero.
Like
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is 20 celebrities left in Scientology and there is, I don't know, 1 million celebrities in the world, what's that percentage?
Not to mention, if you were to look at Mike, how many people are in SAG and AFTRA, like it wouldn't even register. Wouldn't.
I know.
Yeah. You can count
Like
on
I said,
probably
it's
one hand.
it is statistically a zero.
Mhm.
It's slightly more than zero, but for
Yeah.
all intents and purposes, it's zero.
Yeah. Why does my
Okay.
nose look so
Robin
shiny?
McGarity.
Does
What
my
about
nose look really, really shiny? Like
no,
the tip of okay. Go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
no more than mine. But mine, I've got a Rudolph nose.
I know, but I like your cute Rudolph nose. Christy, you like it, right? His Rudolphness?
She's laughing in the background.
Okay.
Okay, what about Ashton's new letter stepping down, still apologizing to all victims, not to the girls directly?
Yeah,
in
it
his
sucks. I
Thorn
mean,
step down.
listen, I'm not gonna get on the bandwagon here because I still want to celebrate the fact that how strong and brave these women are, and I think there's more to come on this, and that's all I'm going to say. I think there's more to come on this.
Okay, I like this question. Why does DM threaten to send everyone to Australia? We are nice here.
Yeah, why does he do that? What is his thing with Australia?
Because he thinks, okay, he thinks it's farthest away that he can possibly get from wherever he is. So therefore, in his mind, that's a punishment. Being sent as far away as possible. It wasn't just Australia, it was to the outback of Western Australia. Like as far away as you can get in Australia from civilization, so to speak, and from his majesty.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay, have you kept in touch with Taylor Holly? Loved her episode on the podcast. Yes, I have been in touch with Taylor. Taylor was the one that wrote her treatise about Scientology's tax exempt status and how it's in violation of public policy. A wonderful, wonderful thing. If you have not read it, go to my blog and find it. It is really good. Really good. Oh, I don't want to answer that one.
Let's be honest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's be honest.
No, I was reading something.
Yeah, I know you were.
Sorry.
Ashley Tamburo, any update on Shelly?
Yeah,
still missing. We both answered exactly the same. She's still missing and nobody's talking about it. And David Miscavige isn't mentioning it, and neither is Tom Cruise.
And you know who else is not talking about it?
The police.
Correct.
And the media. Now,
correct.
Once the joke.
Well, when I'm asked, when I say, could you please cover this story, other than people who are covering the story, which is what Tony Ortega and Yashar Ali, I mean, and Stephan, just a few, but there are like 15 other executives who continue to be missing, and their family members need to come forward and they need to do something about it, because it just, for us to be doing that on behalf, like, I don't personally know them, and I mean, I've met them once at an event, but their family members should do something about that. But when I ask people, can you cover the story, what they say is, what's new? Well, why don't you read Yashar's current, his Substack that he put up, right, on Shelly, the recent one. Read that. Tell me what you think is new, that nobody's
Right.
talking about it.
Yeah, I know.
Could you imagine if this was your sister, your friend? Like, imagine if this was your friend and the answer is she's fine. Would that be acceptable to any human being on the planet
Right.
other than Scientology?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a question up there and I messed up, and now I don't know. Was what happened to the New Mexico, something in New Mexico, and I don't know where that went. And I wasn't sure whether it was asking about the CST facility in New Mexico or the ranch that
Mm-hmm.
used to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, can you see that, Christy, anywhere? I lost it in the shuffle here. Maybe you can see if you can find it, and I will just go into another question, then we'll go back to that one.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think more and more people in Scientology feel DM the problem with Scientology the more these trials are brought forth, or do they even know about them? Well, they don't really know about them, other than if they happen to have seen some report about or a media mention of the lawsuits or the trial, they will have been told by their handler within the organization, if it's come up as something that they are questioning, that it's the suppressives telling lies, that it's the WOG world justice system, that it's all made up, and that ultimately everybody will be vindicated like they always have been.
Yeah.
And
that we must be succeeding because the SPs are going crazy. I'm meaning us, right? Like the SPs, we have gone crazy, and it's only because Scientology continues to grow and grow and grow per them, which is the exact opposite of what's actually happening. And that, we're just going more and more psychotic because, and they're under attack from SPs. That's basically what they're running around saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Now, how long do we do this for? Because I don't want to overstay our welcome either, Mike.
Yeah. Well, we just have to arbitrarily say we're going to take 10 more questions and then we're done.
Well,
And
yeah, I think what did we do? An hour and a half? Yeah.
an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just don't want to,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But people aren't leaving.
Okay. I
keep coming, but
them to feel obligated to stay, Mike, because we're here and then they're being nice, and you know what I mean? So
yeah. Okay, let's do 10 more questions.
Okay.
So this is 10. Question: considering the massive amount of real estate and money Scientology has, is there a real chance of shutting them down? Yes.
We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't believe that eventually their crimes will be exposed and their tax exemption to be revoked. I mean, yes, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't believe that.
Right.
Yeah.
Question: is Scientology still able to keep their members off of the internet, or is it harder to do that these days?
Now I'm glad this question was asked, Mike, because we have said many times the Scientologists are not allowed on the internet. We should have clarified that, because people are like, wait, I thought they're not allowed on the internet. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, you can't keep people from the internet at this point in the way the world works. I mean, everybody
talk from a Sea Org member.
Right. Sea Org members have no access to the internet.
Okay.
And staff members don't have access to the internet when they're inside the organization.
Mm-hmm.
They could only access the internet when they're at home on their own computer. What?
Secondly, who are you seeing then? Like, because Ed Parkin, he's a Sea Org member, right? The Stan League, these are all Sea Org member, and all the OSA operatives.
Yes, and
Okay, so
that's it. There are OSA people who are designated to post the crap from Scientology on the internet.
Yeah.
And they do appear there. Most of them under fake names. They don't appear with their real name. Most of them have, pseudonyms, and they're just trolls.
yeah,
But there are people, you mentioned Ed Parkin, the now departed, not missed Ed Parkin, who is probably on the RPF somewhere. But, Scientologists who are on the internet who may accidentally see something negative about Scientology, which happens more and more and more as there's more and more stuff on the internet,
yeah,
they are told that it is just all lies.
yeah.
That anything that they see that is negative about Scientology is made up by SPs in an attempt to destroy man's only chance of survival. And usually they pile onto that with, and it's just them trying to make money out of the good name of Scientology.
Now, what about
And
the phones?
what about what?
Sea Org members have telephones, though, right?
No, most do not.
Okay, so some do. Let's
Some
say,
do.
like Linda Hamill, she probably has a cell phone.
Yeah, she
Kristen
does.
Catano has a cell phone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
those guys have to even read and watch these videos. Like, they're the hardcore, like I was. Watch all the stuff that the quote SPs say and figure out how to not you don't listen to it like, oh God, maybe there's something that this guy's saying that is true.
Right.
It's filtered through this idea that this is all bullshit. And even if they say something that might be true, it doesn't matter because the intent is to destroy Scientology.
Right. So I want to add something. So one ex who came out, that person said that their dad was still in. And they were asking their dad, like, have you ever seen Going Clear? Have you ever seen, why are you saying that Leah is a suppressive person and she's evil and should be destroyed and all that? And the answer was, it doesn't matter that Leah is telling the truth. It's that she's speaking.
Yep.
That's the mentality of a Scientologist, that they know what we're saying is true. It doesn't matter. It violates Scientology law. Leah should have handled any upset she had within her church inside Scientology, not outside. She's not allowed to go to the authorities. She's not allowed to speak publicly against Scientology. These are against Scientology laws, so it doesn't matter to them what we're saying. It's that we're saying it is a violation of Scientology law. So even as a civilian Scientologist, when I was, of course, I have the internet, of course, but I believed that by doing it, I was committing a sin by going on Mike Rinder's, blog, right, or his website. So and then when I would go in, every Scientologist has to go on the meter every day, and they say, have you done anything wrong? It's you're there trying to be a good person. You think I need to tell them everything. So I say, I did. I went on the internet. I want to see what's going on. Like, I'm an actress. I need to understand what's going on. When I'm on the red carpet, I can't be like not answering questions and saying shit. So I would try to use that excuse. And Shane Woodruff said, look, what you're doing when you click on, Mike Rinder or Debbie Cook's email or you're contributing to the enemy line. This is an enemy line. And, by you doing that, you're just contributing to, what they're doing. And that's against us. And why would you want to do that, Leah? And you ask yourself, why would I want to do that? So no, they can't stop you, right, from going on the internet, but you stop yourself because of what you said before. We are obedient. And again, we think we're doing the right thing by not looking, right? And the thought that what you're saying, Mike, we're trained to believe that anybody saying the truth about Scientology is psychotic.
Yep.
Yep.
Number 2, Linda Olson. Didn't he send Jenna Miscavige and her husband to Australia? Yes, that's exactly right. To Canberra.
Hmm. He did
Wow.
have an obsession with Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's farthest away. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, he couldn't use South Africa because he went to South Africa and told South Africa how wonderful they were and how much he loved it and he wanted to be there and this was the source of the next great civilization on earth and blah blah blah. So all right, number 3. Question: does the general population in Clearwater get annoyed by Scientology and their land grab? Oh, annoyed is not the word. It is a source of constant upset and despair for the general citizens of Clearwater, and they can't figure out, well, what can we do about it? And frankly, the powers that be in Clearwater, apart from Mark Bunker, have pretty much had their head in the sand since, the 70s. And
Yeah, exactly.
since Gabe Cazares was, fair gamed into oblivion.
Yeah.
Okay. Allie, do you ever worry that Scientology will release your recorded auditing tapes to try to shame you? No?
No.
I don't.
mean, again, it's like it just would be more proof of who they really are.
Exactly.
I mean, by the way, they've already done it, and it's so crazy because a lot of it is so out of context, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're forced and coerced into giving up and through suggestion to give up transgressions that you committed when you were a cave person or whatever, right? And then they take those out of context and they post those. Matter of fact, Jessica and Tommy were doing this. They were creating a website on Marty Rathbun when he had a moment of sanity. He's since gone back into Scientology and is now attacking his former friends. I can only assume because they have real blackmail on him. And then he all of a sudden had a house paid for in full. So that makes sense. But I remember Jessica Feshbach and Tommy Davis were doing this, and it was the first time that I had seen it being done. They were creating a website, and they were snickering and laughing. And I went over to look at it, and I said, "What do you guys live in?" And they were like, "Oh, come here!" Look. And they were putting up a website of Marty Rathbun, and they were putting his confidential information on his website. And I said, why would you do something like that? And of course, their response is, he's an FNSP. Who cares what and I said, I just didn't know that we do, do we do that? It doesn't seem very becoming. And I asked if Karen Powell, the mouthpiece for David Miscavige, who's the PR of Scientology, and I requested a meeting with her, and I said, we shouldn't be doing this as a church. I don't care if they're SPs. Why would we put I thought it was confidential. And Karen basically said the same thing. Who gives an F? He's an F and SP church.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly. So that was number 4.
Okay.
Here is number 5, which is a great question. Catherine Weber. Hi, Mike and Leah. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm so confused why my profession is perceived as evil in Scientology. Is there a reason why they hate us? We listen and help with skills, no pills.
Well, Catherine, I believe in pills, by the way, if you need it. It's helped me get to sleep many a nights. I mean, I've had to get, I've literally had to get a prescription for sleeping because I can't sleep and I have horrible nightmares. Why do Scientologists hate psychologists and psychiatrists? Because you help people, Catherine.
End of answer. But I gotta add something to this, Catherine, just from my perspective. The reason is because Hubbard perceived psychiatry and psychology and anybody else's study of the nature of man or how to make people better or whatever as competition.
Clearly.
And while he vilifies psychiatry and that has its genesis in the original rejection by the American Psychiatric Association of Dianetics.
That's right.
Scientologists tend to take anything with the word psych at the beginning of it and lump it all together. So psychiatry and psychology are basically, or a psychiatrist and a psychologist are one and the same thing in the minds of Scientologists.
Yeah.
And they don't really understand anything about psychiatry or psychology. They only understand what L. Ron Hubbard says about it. And L. Ron Hubbard says it's evil, so it's evil. And psychs, like, that's what you hear Scientologists say. The psychs.
The psychs are this. The psychs are responsible for that. Like the psychs are responsible.
Yeah, and that
again, like, sorry, go ahead. I don't want you know.
And that's both psychiatry and psychology just lumped all together because it's psychs.
Yeah, and listen, I'm joking when I say that, you know, pills, because I don't want to. You know, of course, there's abuses in all fields, right? But that's we're talking about the purpose, right? The purpose of somebody seeing somebody like you, seeing a psychologist or seeing a psychiatrist is for help. And Scientology is not, it knows nothing about nothing, and I mean nothing in the field of mental health. They do not believe in depression. They do not believe in. I mean, they teach people that they have a bad mind and a good mind. They teach people that everything is, and then later they are taught in the confidential levels that our bodies are made up of spirits, you know, from another planet, and that we end up speaking to those spirits most of our Scientology career. So you can understand what kind of person they're creating by having people talk to imaginary beings for the majority of their lives. So that's the business that they're in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, they're abusing drugs, everybody. Like, I would never even suggest that, right? I'm talking about ethical and moral clinical psychologists and people who are not over drugging people and hurting them. So I didn't think I needed to clarify that, but okay.
Okay. Gavin Henderson, question 5. I often see how Scientology go on about how many millions they have in their religion. According to the Australian census in 2021, there was only 1,600 or so. How do they combat that?
By lying.
Yeah, and they just say there are millions. When a census comes out, if a Scientologist, look, here's an example. They go to an event and David Miscavige stands up there and says, millions of Scientologists all over the world have joined in blah, 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 blah. Okay. They then read in the media, well, there was a census that was taken and it showed that there's only 1,600 Scientologists in Australia, or there's only 2,000 in the United Kingdom, or there's been a bunch of them, Canada, New Zealand, other places. They will be told that those reports are merchant of chaos lies. And if they went and got the actual census, like media, it's the media, just the, you know, like the idea that the media is bad wasn't invented by Donald Trump. It was invented by L. Ron Hubbard. Not really. It was invented by other people before him. But Hubbard was absolutely convinced that the media were seeking to destroy him and had laid out a lot of references so that Scientologists believe that the media is the enemy of the people, or actually the enemy of Scientology. And so anything that is reported in the media that a Scientologist happen to see that may be negative about Scientology, they're just told, oh, that's just the merchants of chaos. That's the name that Hubbard had coined for the media. If they went to the original source, they would be told, this is because there is so much suppression. People just didn't write that down on their census.
Exactly, right.
We have a central files that's got like 100,000 people in it. I mean, most of them are dead, but nevertheless, We have a central fast with 100,000 people in it. So just believe us, don't believe them. And that is what Scientologists do. They believe the people who are standing on stage. These days, it's just David Miscavige. Used to be me and a few other people. They believe whatever it is that they are told by the leadership of Scientology. The WOG world, you can ignore.
Well, and Mike, to be fair, people are saying, maybe they're counting the Scientologists plus their BTs and their clusters, their body thetans and their clusters. And then, guys, I wish it didn't have scrolled because that was really funny. I wish I would have known who said that, because to be fair, that's probably true, because we have millions and millions of beings called body thetans, and then sometimes they're called clusters. So we don't know how many are in the actual cluster, Mike.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Great point, you guys. Great friggin' point.
Okay. Here's question 6. Thetans made me do it. Question: was there a 10 commandments in Scientology? Yes. It's called the 10 points of keeping Scientology working.
Knowing the correct technology, knowing the technology is correct, keeping in the correct technology. Yep. ASW, keeping Scientology working, #1, right?
Yep. Question 7, M. Briley. Hi, I've asked this on Facebook, but thought I'd give it a shot here. What's Scientology's stance on spirits, ghosts? Laura Prepon did a celeb ghost story thing a number of years ago. Okay, this is actually sort of a difficult question to answer. It's another one of these things where Scientology, on one hand, if you were to walk into a Scientology organization and say, there is a ghost in my house and it's haunting me so I can't sleep at night, they would tell you or treat you as if you were crazy, like you're a crazy person, that you need to be somehow fixed of your delusions.
Right.
On the other hand, Scientologists actually believe, when you get to the OT levels, like Leah was just talking about, that you have millions of little ghosts all over you, and they're infesting you everywhere and making you think things.
And I've heard stories, Mike, where people have said, like, oh, like, I think my mom's hanging around me, and they'd say, okay, you need to order her to get a body. Order her to get a body.
Yep. Okay. Hi, loves. What SP had the biggest effect on you guys before or right after you got out?
For me, it was, well, for Mike, it was being beaten by #1 SP, David Miscavige.
No, it's after you got out.
Oh,
before or right after you got. Oh, what SP? Well,
what
yeah,
SP
that's
effect?
that's a correct answer.
Yeah.
That's a correct answer. It was Dave himself that had the biggest effect on me, causing me to get out. But the biggest effect on me after I got out was actually Marty Rathbun.
Yeah.
Like reconnecting with Marty and finding out what he had to say. So
it's really
that's my answer.
It's really sad what happened to Marty.
Yeah, I know.
How far he's gone. And I mean gone. For me, it was David Miscavige and Julian Schwartz when they told me that I had to disconnect from my mother if they decided that she was an SP, and them not answering questions about where Shelly was, Tom Cruise, seeing the whole top executive strata of Scientology for the first time at the wedding. That started my, 6-year, long time to get out. But I and it was also Debbie Cook, you, Mike, and all of you leaving and then hearing about the beatings. And it was like it all came all at once at the very end.
Right. Okay. Question number 8. If there's no God Jesus, do you celebrate Christmas, Easter? Does it have a different meaning? Well, it doesn't have any meaning at all. It
doesn't have any meaning in Scientology. I mean, they'll celebrate holidays just for, just to do it, but there's no religious meaning to it.
Right. And they'll pretend that they, They'll send their PR people to go to a local church for Easter to participate in the Easter celebration or the Christmas celebration, and they will have Winter Wonderland pretending to be like everybody else celebrating Christmas, but they really don't. And there is nothing within the Scientology world or within your life in Scientology that even remotely addresses anything about those significant events in the on the Christian calendar, or Yom Kippur, or any other one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. Well, this is an easy one because it's not a question. You are truly brave for exposing this horrible cult. Thank you for continuing to do what you're doing to support the victims of all the crimes that have been committed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my darling.
Oh, Dave himself. Did you ever have any dialogue with the South Park creators or thank them for the Scientology episode? No. I've actually commented a few times on social media at various places. Hey, I'd really like to talk to the South Park guys. We'd love to have them on our podcast. We'd love to talk to them, but nothing's ever come of it. So,
yeah, and also, Mike, I came across the operations from OSA on what they were doing to Mark Ebner, who was writing stories about Scientology and exposing Scientology, and I came across their operations. It really interesting to see what Scientology, the lengths they'll go to silence anyone, and protect the people that they were protecting. But we're going to do more.
We'll get to those.
We're going to do those. What's a super chat?
A super chat is where someone donates money in order to have a colored box that shows up on the comments.
And why are they donating money? To whom?
To
where?
The channel, to me.
Oh, well, that's nice of you.
You didn't know that, huh?
So that's what the color. So, okay. Oh, I see.
Yes.
And sweet, you guys.
Some people basically only read those comments, the ones that people are donating money with. I try to not do that because I don't want to make this all about just taking those.
Sweet.
But I really do appreciate it, and I do go through
you guys
after the fact and look them all over and try and like them and thank everybody, but sometimes I can't get to them all.
All right.
Yep.
That's
okay.
Really nice of you guys. Thank you.
Last question. Okay. Why does Scientology use a cross as a symbol, given that they don't believe in any crucifixion story whatsoever?
They're religious.
Exactly. Actually, there's one last question. Do you like AFL, Mike?
What the hell's AFL?
Australian Football League.
Oh.
That's my passion. In fact, I was watching the Carlton Melbourne game earlier today, and I will be watching tomorrow morning the game between the Greater Western Sydney Giants and whoever it is that they're playing. I can't even remember now. But I definitely watch the AFL. It's broadcast here. We get every game every week if you subscribe to Fox Soccer Plus. So
that's cute. Look how cute you're getting, Mike. You're all smiley and stuff about your sports.
Well, don't you remember, Leah, that on the other one, people talking about Collingwood?
Who?
Collingwood. That's the team I support, and they're very good this year. So
because Angelo's been in an amazing mood, and then one day he was yelling and carrying on in the house, and I realized because the Jets were on, and because I don't know when it starts, you know what I mean? And I was like, what? I would come to the kitchen and he's watching something, and I'm like, when was this? Like, is this on now? He's like, no, these are repeats. Like, he's so misses sports, but he was like so excited. So anyway, it's good to see the both of you in a very good mood.
I know, and I wish I was sitting with Angelo in your kitchen like we have so many times watching sports.
I know.
One of my favorite pastimes is to sit with Angelo and shoot the shit about whatever sporting event happens to be on TV.
And he has, like, you should, like, I've asked him the same questions for the 20 something years we've been together, like the same questions, and he still loves to explain it to me over and over again. Like, I told you, that's not a real line. It moves. It's not,
Right.
it's a graphic, Leah. Because I'm like, oh, now they got all that together. You know.
Okay.
Anyway, but not to be rude to the person who asked the question about the cross, because you're absolutely right. These are great questions to ask. They do it for PR reasons. Mostly everything that Scientology does is for PR reasons. And, you know, look, when you're in it like we were, you know, we know, like, it's very hard to explain, but it's like, I knew what I was doing, what I was saying to my friends, and what I was promoting myself as this perfect person with no problems in my marriage, no problems with my family. You know, this was all taught to us that we have to do that to the world, right? Because we're saving the planet. And so that's why everything's kind of justified, right? Like lying to the authorities, lying about abuse, lying about receiving it, lying about doing it, perpetuating it, right? All these things are justified. But what did we really think we were doing? I really believed we were helping people. So all of this lying and carrying on and creating a complete different personality. It's like you create two, you know, who you really are is, you know, a person who's being abused, a person who's abusive. You know, what you're going through is horrible. What you're being raised in is horrible. What you're being raised to be is horrible. And, you know, somehow that person that's in you, that's good and decent, you know, thinks you're helping people and helping yourself. And you keep thinking it's going to get better. And you keep thinking, like Mike said, you know, your leaders are telling you we're doing so much good for the planet. You see these videos where children are smiling and, oh my God, we changed this country, we changed that country, we helped this natural disaster. We didn't do any of it.
Right.
And then just somewhere inside of you, that person that they didn't kill, right? The good and decent person that they didn't get to comes out. And that's what enables all of us to leave. And so, you know, I know sometimes I come off like, you know, oh, it's bullshit. You know, they do it for PR reasons. You know, it's really sinister when you think, like, it takes time to come out of something like this. And it's like, you know, to be that creative and devious about believing in God and thinking it's so, you know, and saying that we believe and respect other faiths and all this, it's just simply not true. We were there, we know. And it's time for the truth to come out. And but more importantly, that the truth has come out. It's more important that something's done about it.
Yep.
You can believe all you want. I think it was Marcy Hamilton who said you just can't do whatever you want. And Scientology has been doing whatever they want for a very long time, and that has to end. Again, you can believe whatever you want to believe. You can believe in Xenu, you can believe in all that. We respect that much. Right, Mike?
Yeah, we
But
do.
you just can't do whatever you want to do because your beliefs tell you it's okay to do it, and it's harming not only you, which eventually people will come to realize, but others. And that's the most important, is to realize what you're doing to others.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, guys.
I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody. I mean, obviously, you know, we can't. I mean, literally, we could be here permanently as a permanent installation answering questions.
Mike, I could sit here for 8 hours doing this. Like, I could take a break. I could go get food. You know, people talking about sauce and gravy and chicken, roasted chickens now. Like, I'm starving now.
Okay. We will absolutely do more of these. We enjoy them. I know that the people that get their questions answered enjoy them. So, but we will also be back with other stuff. We have actually a pretty exciting episode planned for next week, which is going to be stay tuned.
And guys, thank you again, all of you on Twitter, on Instagram, on social media, on Facebook, supporting everybody's channels, you know, SPTV and everybody's blogs. It's just amazing. Thank you. Continue to speak up, continue to speak out, do your thing, have your own voice be heard. And God bless you guys, seriously.
And have a great weekend. Bye.